What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this PPL Friday, third and final set. About to kick off in one of the fastest weeks of PPL I think we've ever had. 2 4-0s yesterday, 4-1, and a 4-0 today. Lots of fast matchups. Maybe not quite as fast around the end here. Two very closely matched teams. Can't wait to jump into it. And to jump into it with me, Gormizer joins me on the desk, back from the cast. And I think that of the matches this week, as surprising as they've all been, didn't expect 2 4-0s yesterday. Maybe you could make the arguments for some of the score lines today. But on paper, if nothing else, we've learned that on paper doesn't mean anything. But on paper, these two teams should be closely matched.
Yeah, this is one that in the past it's been 4-1, 4-0 SSG. That's split one. But that's the thing that's the big factor. It's split one. That's nights before their change, before the things that are kind of bringing them success now. And so this is where you have to start looking at the essence of them. I mean, G-Bunny Simsy versus Freeze God Sadak is probably where my mindset is for this, because that's a determining factor for any fight.
And I like the way you kind of pivot to the G-Bunny Sadak matchup, because frontline kind of dominance has been the story of the day. I mean, of course, you know, the backliners get all the DPS, get all the headlines, they get the flashy plays, all that sort of stuff. But look at like what Phoenix and Lazy were able to do in the last set. Just complete control of that game from the front line. Yeah. And it's so clear and obvious that that's kind of what Na'Vi were able to build off of. So if I look at SSG, I look for Sadak and Rochelle to kind of try to control what the Knights have going on. And, you know, they kind of have made their name not only on Freeze God and the rest of the players, but Rochelle and Sadak are two of the best frontliners in this league.
Yeah, and honestly, I can see them continuing that kind of role, and this is actually the perfect moment, not only for them, but for the team as a whole. One of the biggest issues they have had, outside of, I guess, deprecated jerseys, because they're rocking some new ones today, but they had to deal with the fact that they jumped in and kind of were dropped into this meta that they hadn't played for 2+ months, and it was a new meta from the last time they had been able to kind of touch competitive. So it was such a fresh experience. They had to kind of adapt. They were playing catch-up. This week's like a hard reset button for them. A lot of the things that were good, they're still going to be good, but you can change them out, trade them out with other champions and other kind of bans, other picks that are going to go well. I think the biggest downside for them is going to be potentially the lack of Tyra, but they were already starting to run things like triple DPS last week. They were looking good with it, and I think if they can kind of keep this shuffle mentality up, this is going to be a good set.
No, it absolutely should be. And I love that we talk about Sadak on his kind of frontline role, and then we get some big triple DPS highlights out of him. But that's what SSG bring to the table. Oh no, run away, Kresnik. That's a conflict of interest. That's not allowed. There was a dab and then a sprinting Kresnik, and that's all we came back to. Big changes. They don't have their coach.
That was
Who dabbed with their knee? Production tells me that the dab we saw off camera was his knee and not his opposite hand. So flexibility, not only in-game, but out-of-game, not an issue for Spacestation Gaming.
That felt like a reality TV show moment. Like, Kresnik got caught in a bedroom he wasn't supposed to be in. He's running out.
No, he played that perfectly. He might have a future in acting. So good for him. He throws down the headset.
That phase.
Check on the headset, by the way. He does it well. But SSG, you know, the first week we kind of threw some asterisks at him. You're fresh into moving in, haven't played the game in a while, haven't been able to find some really quality scrims. But now you've been here, you're kind of settled in. This is where, you know, you erase that asterisk. This is, you know, SSG versus Knights, arguably at full strength. Flipping the script, looking over at the Knights, a big matchup you brought up was the FRZ versus Simsaloo. Kind of 1 versus 1, and that's a fun thread to follow, Simsaloo, because, you know, last week, kind of a tough road for them. Very much improved, though, from Split 1, but Simsaloo kind of fell by the wayside. Not that he had bad games, but he didn't kind of have that pop-off Simsaloo performance we're used to.
Yeah, but you can see him kind of in the top left there.
He always feels good.
In a good mood right now, as far as I can tell. And the biggest thing about that is not only are they looking like they feel good, but the strength I think they're going to be coming into this set with over SSG is going to be Simsaloo, it's going to be Cuss, it's going to be Vapor. It's going to be this mindset they have, and Ricotta when it comes down to it. All of them working with the draft is going to kind of outweigh it. I think there's just more minds that are kind of melding here to maybe kind of make those outplays in the drafting phase than SSG are going to have. SSG are really good at drafting, but admittedly, you kind of have to know. I mean, Kresnik being gone from their coaching role as he is.
So we think.
As we think. There's not as big of a lockdown for them, I think, to isolate this is what's good, this is what's bad, this is what we need to run, this is what we need to stop. And so adaptation is probably going to be the biggest thing. Whoever wins this first map, if you do it very convincingly, that's great.
Right.
But if you find it's when you find yourself up 2 points, right? If it's whether you find yourself up 3-1, if it's a 2-0, whatever it is, as long as you are the team that's in the lead, that's when I'm starting to see you seal the deal. Like you figured out what they were doing, you adapted to it, and you're just playing better than them.
And you kind of talk about that adaptation meta-wise as well. It's kind of been a fluctuation week with Torvald not being anywhere, not picked, not banned because of some of his changes. And that's opened up the pick and ban phase to kind of some things shifting around. Most notably, if we kind of look at Simsalo, just got off of talking about him, Willow has been probably the most completely banned out champion, unless it's being first picked throughout all of this one. So I look for Simsalo to continue to be flexible. He loves and hates Willow, I think, a little bit across the board.
A little bit of both.
He loves it, but he hates to love it, whatever you want to word it. Matt bans Frog Isle Fish Market. Got to see both, or at least Fish Market earlier today. Waters Gate Bazaar, both gone by the wayside. Some of those more confusing maps.
I like a lot of those maps.
This is the conversation we always have, because I love Frog Island Fish Market because they're usually somewhat explosive.
Yeah.
And then I know you and Krez love Bazaar. I know you love Bazaar. And unfortunately, not going to get to see any of those. But we're used to seeing those bend up.
And it's also, I think, very good specifically from SSG to recognize banning out those kinds of maps. And for, I think, the Knights as well, both of them kind of banning them out. Bazaar and Waters Gate are going to hands down be the worst maps for SSG. And that's actually, you go back to the Virtus Pro set where it's like, if you just take them to the new maps, they're done for. They don't know what to do. They haven't gotten enough practice on them. They don't have strats for them. So they're only going to be able to try and emulate what other teams have done. And, well, lo and behold, that's what happened that set. So I expect this time around that with those gone, they'll hold their own a little more.
Well, identified and by the wayside are those new maps. Map number 1, what do we got? Bright Marsh. Pretty standard, pretty tried and true.
It's a classic dish.
Actually, this is a map both teams are pretty comfortable on. I imagine this, by and large, will be relatively even.
It'll be interesting to see. Again, just so much that they can do that can be right. So much they could do that could be, well, potentially wrong as well. Does depend, I think, a lot more on SSG is who I think my eyes are on this set. I think they're going to be they're the wild card for this one. We kind of know what to expect out of the Knights. They've been playing all split. SSG, you come in for a few weeks. We see you get better each time you come in for all of those. And then now you're shifting the meta. How well do you adapt to this meta? Is it better for you because you came in late, or is it worse for you because you came in late? Like, how they play, I think, in this map more than anything, but first two, like I said earlier, is going to be more indicative of the set at length than anything.
Oh, adaptation is key. Ash banned, Willow banned out as well. Makoa, Atlas, pretty standard there. SSG are going to identify some of that off-tank presence, pick themselves up Khan number 1, looking to capitalize on maybe an even matchup here. I mean, Zarini and G-Bunny, very strong, very comfortable front line. Cassie has kind of fallen into that category, first pick, first ban as well.
There's also something to be said. You look at some members of SSG, and by some I mean Sadak, coming down, has experience on the world stage, having to play a Terminus that matters a lot. Right now, the Knights, that's like the hottest conversation, the hottest pick they've had, is that Zarini has made that come through. With Inara, I don't think we're going to see it, but, you know, not a bad counter matchup if that ever comes through, if we see Rachao on that Inara maybe later in the set. But always something to keep in mind, because Brightmarsh can be a very good map for the term as well.
Oh, no way. It's hovered. I'm not going to give you credit till that portrait becomes colorful. Talus as well being hovered here. You're right, though. Terminus is also kind of thrown into that conversation. We've talked about Phoenix in the Fernando. The frontline meta constantly shifting around, and you can't quite be sure any given game where those frontliners are going to go. At least Inara's in, Barrack is in. That's pretty standard. Where the Knights choose to flex with their off position is where my eyes go.
You know what? The Knights, so it's the Knights and Envy right now. Maybe NIP as well. Are like the three teams I have my eyes on because they're the ones that they seem to be more willing to try a lot of the weird stuff. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, we saw a little bit of a Talus hover there for a little bit. There's room for Torvald in a meta. There's room for Torvald to come through. You might not want to lock him in. Admittedly, even in your first 4, he might be only if we're second pick, only if we get the right draft and we're against the right team. Like, there's going to be a lot of stipulations to it. But I think he still opens the door for, the Taluses, the Kogas, the flanks that don't get seen often. Right now Androxus kind of falls into that category. I think Knights are one of those teams that are going to have that kind of conversation because they all, they have 4 minds that thinking outside the box. And so I am anxiously awaiting that to come through. And it's only because I see that Talus hover for a second there that I'm just like, maybe. Just maybe.
Just maybe. One of these days. I mean, it'll happen. Eventually. Today's not that day. Still technically could be. Got 1 pick to do it if they want. Genos locked for SSG. Shaolin hovered.
You are nothing but dust in the wind.
Come into the meta is probably not the right way to word it, but we have seen a few games of Shaolin recently. Yeah. Some effective, some ineffective, but definitely has his place.
Now, and this is actually the fun one. If you look at this at any other team, your Blaster's playing Maeve, and the other guy's playing Shaolin. I expect this to be an Ares Maeve and a Freeze God Sha, just because they're better at those champions more than anything. And so it'll be an interesting swap, but that is something I've seen more specifically out of SSG. I've seen it on Ascension Peak, but they've made it work, and they can make it work well. So I trust them to run this and have it kind of solidify out for them.
I agree. I don't think it'll look bad. I think that makes sense into what SSG have picked here. Last pick for the Knights being hovered. Last pick for the Knights being locked in. And it's a Xin. Does that make sense to you?
Xin on Brightmarsh. It's a classic combo. And as long as he can't have that loadout anymore. I was going to say as long as he doesn't have max billow time up, there's no chance of a country Xin return. But
he
as
can.
It is right now.
It's just not very long.
Yeah, no, it's much more brief. Not going to spend 30 minutes inside of billow in one game. It'd be pretty impressive. But, I mean, it's a good combo. It works well on this map. I just think he has to find the right angles and find the right fights.
Oh, it's SSG, it's Knights, it's Shaolin, it's Xin. I can't wait to see who comes out on top. Casters, take it away.
Thank you guys so much from the desk. Of course, I'm down here with Nick this time, not with Krezzik anymore. Of course, he had to be probably arrested after having to run away from that SSG booth, trying to coach him a little bit too late. He's being dealt with, of course, but right now we're still in this game on Brightmarsh, game 1. I'm interested. They brought it up on the desk. Xin and Shaolin, both of them you never would think you'd see at least in the same game.
Oof. Cuss ready to hit him with the flex as well. Certainly Xin. We ready to go, and I think Xin is more of a response to Shaolin, if anything. Shaolin, obviously, he's the bow character, right? Long draw time, but extremely high single instance arrows and damage at 1,000 base. 1150 with Genos' Luminary. Zin's the best man for the job, man. Counter reflects exactly 1 instance of anything, like a damage or any type of control, like a Maeve pounce. Commander's grab, whatever it is, even if it's like an enemy ultimate, like if a Ceres throws in her convergence, if it hits Zin's counter, it just deletes it from the game. So you have those high single instance long, like you have a lot invested in every arrow as Shaolin. Xin just seems like one of the perfect answers to be able to reflect some of that very high burst damage.
We always see him chucking a few flames here and there next to the docks, but of course, looking in through this window, make sure he can put some pressure onto that point. Tank, aka Baron for Chow. Freeze God, FRZ God eating a lot of damage in this case. It seems like Pittsburgh Knights are slowly pushing them out. A good disengage bonus to Doc, gonna force him to put up the shield so he doesn't eat a little bit of that big game damage.
Maeve moving in on Xin. That billow just does not have the legs that it once did. Ares going for it. He wants it and he's gonna find it. Damage reduction, self-sustain. It's all good stuff from Maeve.
A close one-on-one between Xin and Maeve already. Once again, Ares is the one that comes out on top there. Zarini finds the kill onto the right flank though, onto that Ares. And immediately, he's throwing out, Shaolin's planning himself, throwing out those arrows. They're gonna be forced to back off. He gets a couple good shots onto the Inara, but nothing to actually starting thing for SSG.
Well, it's a solid lead here for SSG, 99-72 at the moment. Pittsburgh Knights surging forward. If they start to get kills, fragging out, trading 1-for-1, this is all worth it for the Knights because they are currently on the objective. I think Maeve got a touch. No, she didn't actually. This one is just going to go straight over to the Knights.
Yeah, they're already pushing up, trying to get theirs up. Don't start, of course, Ricotta up here with Simsalute. Both of them really just watching this flank right here. Nice disengage pull. Rachao moves his way away from a couple of those shots, but really, Ricotta's able to find at least one with a big game damage. Maeve has to back out too. Aries seeing a little bit too much. 2 time in space. Doesn't find anyone, but G-Bunny makes sure he finishes off mid tower in that case.
There it is. Wall goes up. Are you locked in here with me, or am I locked in here with you? G-Bunny just fighting his way out of it via the wall he actually got from Zarini. Nicely played there from the Knights. Playing around each other, and speaking of Zarini, he's sitting at 22,000 damage, highest in the game at the moment. Ooh. In fact, 1, 2, and 3 on the damage charts, all going to the frontliners.
Yeah, it's actually, of course, really interesting to see. But
Put some respect on my role.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, they actually were able to get the kills, get the damage more than anything. Put on pressure that the DPS aren't seeming to do yet in this game. Xfire comes through, doesn't find anything except for a barrack shield. The rest of them actually decide to hide behind corners, make sure they don't actually get hit by that. But now, PK, they're definitely looking to push up. Aries trying to throw out these daggers to soften up their targets, so it's a little bit easier. 2 time in space comes through, misses, but Sadat finds a kill on the cusp, but already 2 of his teammates make that a 3rd for G-Bunny. Goes down.
Kill feed continuing to fill up. Red here, one more bolt from Ricotta makes it a 4th.
74 health.
The 5th just now respawning. It's almost a clean sweep for the Pittsburgh Knights. 53 seconds on the clock. The payload cresting its final hill. The front bumper already across the finish line. Only have to get that center mass there, and they have plenty of time to do it. Ultimates are coming up. Dread Serpent, Seismic Crash, that's a lot of control in the early game with no resilience, Stefan. That might be enough to put the round away.
I entirely agree with that. Dome Shield went down for Rachao to make sure he can zone him out to give his team a little bit more consideration. They do get the kill on the Zarini, though, enough focus fire, and they do take down one of PK's front lines. In this case, you're going to force the rest of them to fall back. Of course, Sadak is engaged in a one-on-one with G-Bunny, but even G-Bunny's not going to take that fight.
15 seconds remaining.
Third commentator here letting us know that the clock is winding down. Final seconds of this round. Probably just really waiting for Zarini. Here it comes, the gas pedal hit from the Knights. Dread Serpent kicks the fight off.
Well, we already hear the heat haze in response to that as well, but Seismic Crash, you are most definitely not welcome here. They actually get the pick on the Sadat. They're looking at Barrack next. He's trying to move his way around the point. Freeze Guy opens up the kill with G-Bunny, but it's not going to be enough because Ricotta is not only wants a single, he wants a double. Zarini picking up what could have been a triple, but the round's already over for PK.
Ricotta just reading that expression. Good job, but clearly maybe a couple of things to improve upon there. The Knights really slipped up once there, and the story of this set is, for me, Spacestation Gaming is a top 4 team.
Yeah.
But obviously they're coming in very rusty. This is only their 3rd week being back in the PPL, playing their games, playing their phase 2 out. Everybody else got off the starting block, 8 weeks sooner than they did. So it's tough. It's just been a race to get their feet under them, but we just know how incredible this SSG team can be. We know they've made it essentially to the semifinals last year in Worlds. They had arguably, I think, the best set, the most competitive set at Worlds last year. It was an incredible show from an incredible team. The Pittsburgh Knights, however, have also been on the upswing. So you're looking at a race to catch up for SSG. Maybe the Knights proving that they really have become a top-tier team.
Docs, in this case, they're trying to make sure they can push up that stairway. They don't actually get any kills, but they do get the damage. Both of these teams respecting each other a lot, taking shots, but no one's finding any bodies at this point, except for the first one being Sadak in this case. Now they're going to be pushing in. The ultimate from Zen comes in, Ricotta with the double, and now they're definitely looking for some trouble up on the point, and all the way in the back, Rachao goes down. Aries finds one to Ricotta, but already the zone from PK is a little bit too much.
Comeback mechanic is flipped on for SSG, but it just doesn't matter. They only have 7% capped away. Ooh, overpowered, nice. Right back into danger. Simsalo will not survive the onslaught. A Hexafire zones out one of the doors and is waiting with the angle to cover the other. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Poor Sadak just losing his life for the touch.
Oh, they have to use a dome shield, though, to make sure they don't actually cap this point immediately. It's going to cause the rest of PK, Pittsburgh Knights, to back up. Atomic Space doesn't find his target. Good idea coming out from the Genos, but it wasn't enough. Already 3 kills for PK, a dome shield in vain. But Sha Lin's topping the damage.
Oh, yeah, and Zen right behind him. Both those characters putting in a ton of work here in the second point fight. Quick shout out to G-Bunny 7 and 3. Great performance on the Ruckus despite having some tough matchups, I think. Maeve, the hardest part about Maeve is the daggers. Ruckus is a big, slow target, so naturally honestly, man, I just feel like I get to this point anytime I try to break down a matchup with Ruckus. He's just so easy to hit, and it really comes down to G-Bunny selecting his fights appropriately and getting a little bit of help from the teammates there to bail him out of a 1v3.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to dive, and
Look
his
at him.
team was all for him in that case. They supported him all the way into that fight right there, a minute 45. Coming up on the clock, it's already here, but at the same time, SSG can't even get down to the point. The pressure's up there. Look at Zerini, for goodness sakes. Already in the spawn, boosted himself up, got a couple shots on the SSG, but it's not any kills yet. A nice shot from FRZ, guys. The opening, and you already see SSG flood from their spawn. Now they're putting the pressure on the PK.
That's right. Pittsburgh Knights, a couple of ultimates here. This round calming down just a little bit. There's plenty of time left on the clock here, I think, to stabilize, get some of those ultimates recharge.
Nice.
Ooh, Zin. I was wondering, he's got options here. Is he going to whirl back onto the map, or is he going to get stylish here and ult back onto the map? But when Zin first came out, I think, he wasn't super competitively played.
Right.
Except by one guy, and he had the nickname of Zinsolo. So I think, hand in hand, this player, this champion, go together. Zerini, another triple kill. He led damage at the start of the game. Stefan, he's going to put his mark here on what I believe to be the end of the game here. Only 45 on the clock. Oh, Maeve just tries in vain to slow it down. Knights, methodical in game number 1.
A dominant performance from them. I mean, a 4-0. It seemed like once they got the aggression, they never really stopped. They never gave SSG an opening to think. Every single time they wanted a team fight, SSG had to use an ultimate, and literally twice dome shield being dropped to try and make that way for themselves to be able to counteract that. But PK
touches, on the
exactly.
point. It's like Spacestation was just so on the back foot there. They never got to have command and control of a fight. Everything's diving on the point to get the touch, losing my life just to make sure this round stays alive. Nobody got to have this full cohesive unit. I mean, again, it's all the more credit to the Knights, in my opinion. Very methodical. They played it well. Zin worked out for them. It's all good stuff.
Well, very, very methodical win already for PK. Pittsburgh Knights looking pretty good already, with the first game being a clean 4-0. We'll see how they do in game 2 right after this break.
Skillshop, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
That's a fast start for the Knights. 4-0. Brightmarsh doesn't get much quicker than that. Literally can't get any quicker than that. And if all of this PPL action makes you want to jump in, play some Paladins, that's actually a great time to do so. We got the Time Warp event going on now through September 26th. You jump in every day. Unique rewards, unique challenges. Get yourself some sprays, maybe some skins, all that sort of fun stuff going on. So make sure to jump in now. Get to playing some Paladins. Still a few days left to do so. Looking back at match number 1, though, Gore, not as close as we thought it might be. The front line's kind of continuing to dictate. Ricotta had a big game. But you look at what Zarini was able to do opening the door. That's just a complete team win.
Yeah, I mean, it was just control from top to bottom from the Knights. They played that one really well. G-Bunny, 35K. Simslu was able to bat up 61K. And even though you have FreezeGod doing more damage than him,
healing.
You have to look at the streaks. 20, 11, 18, 10, and 9 there for the Knights. And the healing was, over
That's
double.
a double.
About double what you see out of Mittal. And, well, I mean, choose a slash line. 3 and 3, 1 and 1. Those are the worst of them all. I like that Simslu with the most damage was the least kills for their team outside of the support. But the 9, 5, and 13, 13, 2, and 12, 10, 1, and 18. You take Zarini or Ricotta any day, and you got a highlight reel.
And Cuscutie, 25 affected kills, big game for the healer there. But I want to look at Zarini. Zarini didn't have the flashiest highlights throughout that game. Did seal things up very nicely with a triple kill here towards the end. But very close to top damage, right in that conversation, and it's kind of akin to like Lazy. You do the point tank thing, but you also do the offensive thing, and really helps push Pittsburgh Knights towards the end.
It does help when the overpower misses the overall target. And you don't get thrown off the map. You don't get thrown away. Zarini is very effective. You can kind of see him focusing on whichever target that he wants to target, or that the team is trying to target down. And his damage, again, it's 200 one of those pebbles. If he hits all 3, he gets up to 600.
Yeah,
I think it's 675 at the top end, because it's 225 per pellet. So you're looking at a Mave, like, you only need a few shots really to connect to fully envelop that health bar. But some of it being bought because he's playing so well and because he's targeting so well. Some of it being bought because Sadak pulls the trigger a little too fast and doesn't quite get the overpower.
Right.
I don't think it changes the pace, or it doesn't change the score of the game. It changes the pace of the game. At the end of the day, it'd still be a 4-0.
Micro moments, to be sure. I did hear some of the Knights guys. They were walking out of their booths as we were walking by. They brought up Splitstone. They said, we figure this is where SSG are going. Obviously, have done their homework. Very strong map for Space Station Gaming is Splitstone. Corey, something the Knights, probably any team playing against SSG would be at least mentally prepared for. Willow back to the ban column, as well as Atlas. Can't see a world where Makoa makes it through now, if you're not going to trade out for the Atlas. One last ban here for the Knights. They do need to choose what route they look to go. But definitely, again, kind of looking back, this is a map where SSG have really started to figure out the push.
Yeah.
And one that they're always threatening to win a map a set.
This has been a historic SSG map this year. And as far as they're concerned, usually that means they're going to have good control. 3 points, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to 0.7, just because of I think the strengths of both teams. But this is where specifics start to come more into the equation. How much, if the Knights win, how much they win by reveals what the rest of the set's going to be like.
Agree.
If SSG win, it kind of reveals what we can expect out of the rest of the set. And this one's the temperature check. The last one was that we're getting started, you're back in Paladins, this is what it's like, by the way. This one will be are you here to play, or are we just ending the day?
I agree. I think that's a good way of looking at it. They're going to set themselves up well for an answer back, SSG, with Barrick and Cassie, two of the staples in this current meta. Cassie either picked or banned, I would say, effectively in every game we've had so far today, as few of them as there have been. 9 up to this point out of a potential, I don't know, do the math for me, Gore. 14. There we are. we wrote them 9 out of a potential
21?
14 up to this point today.
Oh, right. Okay, 9 out of 14 for up to this one.
All right, let's go back to tomorrow. That's 28 total up to this point, 8 yesterday, 9 today. So we've had 17 total maps out of 28. So remember a couple weeks ago we had our big 4-3 week 21 out of possible 21 games.
Yeah.
This one much the opposite, only a couple or one set.
I mean, the minimum in that would be 16 out of the 28 that's been played. So
we've got 17.
Just one higher.
Anyway,
earlier today, Kango were able to get that one, but
we can do math.
Let's see if SSG
if nothing else, this is not really good analysis. This is just me proving to myself that on the spot, in the moment, if you give me a second, I can add up some map scores. But by and large, point being, this long rambling rant about map scores is the fact that it's been a short week, and the Knights are looking to keep it even shorter with a win here on Splitstone, Corey. Barrett, Cassie, Genos, Ruckus in the meantime, locked in for Space Station Gaming. Get the Cassie on your side. feel a little bit more comfortable drafting out that Ruckus. And this time we get to see it in the hands of presumably Sadak, one of the more comfortable Ruckus players in the league, to be sure. Knights maybe looking to Grover for Cuss Cutie here. The healer meta has kind of been a rotation of maybe some Furia if your team likes it. Genos always in that conversation, Maldamba as well. Grover kind of in and out of the meta, though.
He's like a staple that's not staple, right?
Sure.
He's always going to be there for you. He's always going to be a pillar for his team, and if you play him right, he can help you win the game. But you don't always go to him. You only go to him on certain maps where maybe Grover's a little stronger. This is a good place for him. It kind of indicates maybe playing under bleachers, being strong over there. You can also play on the other side and kind of near lava and up on that ramp to maybe control things. But being able to heal above him, around him, through walls, onto the point, it doesn't matter. He's going to be good there. He has some good damage as it scales up over time and kind of deals that from far away. As long as you are, there with your presumably Leon and Khan going down there,
feather reporting.
You're fine.
All that seems good to me. Through walls, up, below, behind, wherever Grover wants to heal you. He can as long as you're in that zone. 5 locked in for both teams. Knights grab themselves Khan, Maven, Nara, Leon, and Grover. SSG answer back. Barrett, Cassie, Genos, Ruckus, and Strix. Strix, Mutu was big for Na'Vi in their Splitstone Quarry set. Do you see the same effectiveness here for SSG?
I think it could look pretty good. It's going to depend for me on who's playing it. I've stated this before, but not as big a fan of Ares on a sniper as I am Freeze God on a sniper. So that will depend, I think, heavily on it and how much they're able to buy with the Cassie, how much room they can buy with this Ruckus and where they're playing. Because there's a lot of angles SSG could maybe approach this that can control the Knights, but I don't know how many of them break down the Knights.
Well, this is a big one for Spacestation Gaming. Definitely indicative of the rest of this set. Casters, take it away.
Thank you guys so much. I'm excited to see what we have in store for us. At least on Splitstone Quarry once again. Second time we've seen this map today, and second time that we've seen Strix on this map today as well. So I'm excited to see some good old sniper.
Strix is definitely on the upswing, man. I'll tell you what. Seeing more of him now than ever, and decisively over Knessa. Before, felt like it was relatively even back and forth. We talked a lot about how it came down to player preference and this and that, but now it seems that every sniper player in the league is grabbing Strix instead of Knessa.
Yeah, it definitely seems like he has the upper hand in a lot of these different matchups. However, we already see the game is started. Everyone's getting to their position. A good snipe, a miss in this case, on FRZ's God's perspective. He is waiting back here on these bleachers, though, and really, PPK is really controlling this fidget spinner room right here, but SSG already has a point. I mean, a touch, I should say.
That's how it goes. With Grover, you know what part of the map you're trying to dominate at the very least, but Pittsburgh Knights do have the mobility of Maeve, of course.
Oh, wow.
Very few people can go toe-to-toe with Ruckus outright at the start of the game. So much mitigation, especially with Luminary and a Genos Mark ticking away for diligently. Essentially, Sadaka's here playing defense, boxing out Simsilo, so Simsilo cannot get to FRZ.
Yeah, I mean, FRZ is really trying to just find some type of opening. He hasn't really had an easier time trying to hit these shots. And of course, Ares right here, looking for a couple good crossbow bolts onto the Khan, flips around immediately. G-Bunny puts that shield up, 54% onto the point for PK, but Sadak is the first one to go down. FRZ finds the kill onto Cuss, though, and that's already a 1-for-1 trade, I believe, in favor of SSG.
All it takes out is a step out of line for the support. Nice Void Grip up, easy kill for Ares on the Simsilo. He's trying to get to the backline here. No healers, no flankers to pressure the backline. Means that SSG take back this point with confidence. 69% for the Pittsburgh Knights on the objective. Meanwhile, SSG currently in control and climbing, closing this lead rapidly.
Yeah, we already see that Child just firing a couple shots here from the point. Of course, trying to prevent them from getting in as close as they'd probably like to. Sadak really just holds his right flank over here. His way in. He definitely wants to go for Leon, though. He wants to try and find some type of opening. A couple shots from Ricardo, though, are going to leave him having to use his emitter, but there's so much damage and so much health on Sadak's side, and he is going to be able to get the kill. Midnight goes down with a percentage building in PK's side, but the fact that he got Cuss, that's going to be extremely huge, but PK still captures.
No way, Zarini, yet again, stealing the show with an Aura. When it's not kills and damage, it's sniping the objective. 0-1 this time, only 10,000 damage, so having to kind of assume the polar opposite role he did on Bright Marsh, and naturally so. I mean, look at the up-down on Splitstone Quarry, folks. Yeah. That's too much for Inara, boys. She has to sit on the objective, do her thing there. That's where she's going to earn her paycheck this game.
House really just around this corner, just putting on as many damage as he possibly can. A good few daggers from Simsulu, though, are actually going to leave Aries looking really, really low, but he wants to be able to converge on to this Ruckus, but he doesn't know that Aries is right behind him to give him that extra life support. They get the kill on the mid tower. Their support's gone. Barrack falls too. And now PK can finally push out of this mine shaft and stop defending, but a dodge roll, just like the Matrix. He moves directly out of the way of Enlightenment. He still goes down to Cuss, and G-Bunny still finds one.
Oh, yeah. Big snipe here, long shot matchup. He was going to die no matter what. It was a matter of bringing somebody with him, but Freeze God goes down cleanly to the knives of Simslo. Quick pause here from Midtown. They get a couple things worked out, I'm sure. And these ultimates starting to come up. Some already up and spent in terms of Enlightenment, back to 5%. You want to find the kills if you can, though. You get moved back to 50% if you can land the killing blow. But here, you got to say, that was really going Space Station's way. And it comes down to that critical exchange there, right? And a lot of times it's a domino effect. You got Ruckus playing defense in lava for Maeve. If Maeve can't penetrate to the back line, then Freeze God is going to be able to free fire. Freeze finds that pick on. It's funny. It's a snipe both ways. He finds the snipe once on a Cuss. Then it's Midtown, actually, with a nice through time and space to delete the Grover as well. If this back line is operating freely without pressure from the Maeve, well, what value did the Maeve pick really bring?
Right, exactly. I mean, but PK does end up getting the point still, despite
Thank you, Zarini.
all of that. Right, yeah. Thank you, Zarini, for just being able to sit there.
Cannot count on that every single round. That probably won't happen again.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's so few and far in between that you actually see something like that where somebody's just sitting on the point, no one's really contesting, and then all of a sudden they manage to get it. At the same time, though, SSG aren't operating poorly. They're getting the kills. They're doing what they need to, but they've definitely got to put a lot more pressure onto the objective. Yeah,
and it really is rare to see that happen. Without comeback, or with comeback mechanics, sometimes you will see that percentage get away, so to speak, from a team or two. You get out of rhythm, you forget how many ticks it is before it will be fully captured when comeback mechanic is enabled. There's really no excuse for it. I think at this level, it's really just a big slip up from SSG to let that one go the way that it did.
Exit Fire comes through, though, trying to find a kill or at least trying to force them out from high ground, but it looks like he's on the return fire here, the back foot. Cuss gets a good axe onto Sadak. It does end up killing him, but there's only 3 of them left. They're all grouped up too, so they have to find some type of way out of there. Cuss in a bad spot. He's going to have to use the Vine Grip to get out, but he can't make it. Another couple good shots, along with the blast shot from Aries, are going to net him 2 kills in SSG's name.
Solid connections from mid-range, but already so little time left on the clock for the Knights to get this one done. And think back to how this payload was captured, right? It was stolen away. It was stolen when SSG were really in control of the map. It's almost reflective of how this offense has gone, really. It's not been a convincing way. Zarini gave the Knights a gift, and the Knights are still figuring out how they want to use this gift, right? They don't really know what to do with it now that they have it. As the clock goes 3, 2, 1, we're going to see a little kind of half-assed overtime here. I don't really think there's much chance of this one going in. Zarini is all by himself. Not even worried about him just yet.
Yeah, he puts up the wall to try and cause the overtime timer, at least stall a little bit longer, but it's inevitable in this case. I mean, he already goes down. We are looking at a 1-1, but...
You know, I say that, but you remember when Lazy just slammed the dome shield last set in the corner? He said, I don't feel like giving up on this one yet, and he just, like, reignited the round. They actually, make it happen. Na'Vi, you can make some plays like that. You know, sometimes staggering Inara maybe isn't such a sure thing. You're taking your time on it. I believe this was that snipe on the custody. We saw Midtown last week on Bright Marsh. I want to say it was 11 time and space kills in that game. I mean, 3 of them were doubles. Like, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. I don't think he missed one. I think his average was the double kill, and we would be less excited if he only killed one person, but it was almost 100% accuracy on these time and spaces. Almost all of his damage was time and space as well. It was a very funny game to watch. It was just an absolutely a show put on by Midtown. Gonna need to do it again, though. Consistent picks onto Cutie. He's getting it off of reading the dashes, so whenever somebody uses a movement ability, that's his time to strike.
Yeah, it is. However, the first strike is going to ring true in PK's name, but Sadak finds one on the Simsaloo again. Here he is the second time being all the way in this back line. He's searching. He's looking for whoever it is that might be his prey. This time, Ricotta is the one in his sights. He's super low, trying to heal as long as he can. Strix is also watching that way, but it's so awkward. They're trying to find some type of kill on either side. Ricotta comes out on top of that one thanks to the peel back from his team, and now they're going to be looking at Barrick and firing a couple shots at him.
Ricotta looking for a long-range presence across the way. That would be a 1,200 damage connection, I think, onto Genos. Starts at 800, scales up the further it goes, kind of like Grover. Zares looks to chip his way, but you know, there's a Grover and Inara, a Khan here. I don't see him getting through this one all on his own. I think he's got to find a new angle.
Yeah, there you go already with FRZ God and Mittal. He's pretty much on the top. Yeah, he sees that Simsaloo's down there. Fires a good shot, forces him to run away. In this case, Ricardo does go down, but a good Hexafire. He's trying to do what he can, but that was so good. Use the Hexafire to group him up. Mittal fires 2 times in space. He gets Cuss. Freeze God gets Zarini. Ares finds Simsaloo, and we've already got a 3-man for SSG.
Again, a beautiful combination there. You highlighted it perfectly. Group him up, knock him down, but it's still a 99% lead for Pittsburgh Knights on the objective. 78 climbing. There's gonna be another fight here. I think Ricotta's about ready to get in there, mix it up with Enlightenment. He doesn't even need to burn it yet. He has it for the back half of this fight.
Zarini's still on the point, so he's able to contest and cause an overtime. And now they're just looking at Barrick. They're just focused firing him. Freeze God's hitting the shots, but they can't do anything. The second time in a row where SSG has lost the point on something that looked like it was going to be their capture.
Man, it's coming down to these early leads. Very Na'Vi-esque, right? Especially with Zarini. He subbed in for Na'Vi. He knows that game style. That's what he was doing, man. He's playing the Sonara. He's getting a very early lead. A nice cushion. Cushion is the best word for it. Pittsburgh Knights have lost a fight every single mid. But because of that cushion Zarini's been giving them, it just doesn't matter.
FRZ he got some good shots onto Cuss right there, and it actually ends up killing him.
Cuss is having a rough game, man.
Yeah, he is.
He's just getting time and space sniped. Every time he steps out in the line of sight, everybody is on him.
Yeah, he's got to find some sort of way to at least, I guess all I can say is just try not to die, Forehead. I mean, like, I don't know what else. Yeah. I don't know what else it is I can say for Cuss in that situation. He's trying to position himself in a way that wouldn't get him killed, but he just ends up keep dying. So I guess my only advice is try not to die, Forehead.
Yeah,
I guess that's it.
Can be a bit of a Forehead moment for sure. He's trapped though so often. I mean, Hexafire trapped him. He's got Ares constantly poking, prodding at this door, trying to find a way in. Barrett,
oh no!
Too thick! Too thick, my dude. He's got the goggles on. He's trying to scoot his way out. Zarini has been absolutely incredible. Indecision there on the seismic crash. Nice scout popped in response to prevent Cassie from being stunned. The results in Zarini not able to get a whole lot done, but Cuss is here for him.
Good whirlwind through the ground. It does heal vertically as well, so he's able to heal him literally through the floor. G-Bunny gets picked off though by FRZ God. The rest of SSG found him out of position. They punished him for it. Zarini being forced to retreat in this case. Way back in that corner, FRZ God's ready. He fires one shot, which is enough to make Zarini not want to peek in that case anymore. So Doc tries to go on to Simsaloo, but he's going to force him back as well.
Let's take a look again at the damage charts. I want to see where FRZ God's at. I mean, feels like largely not been too bothered. Ares is right there with him. Rashao is right there with him. Again, all kind of themes that we're pretty used to with SSG. There's one, there's two. Pick Stefan as the final corner is being rounded by the payload, and now the home stretch is all that stands. Pittsburgh Knights at their 3rd point.
FRZ is really trying to soften up these targets when they get back to point. They can try and counteract that. A good disengage mode to try and cause that big game damage. Cuss peeks for like a brief second. Really gets sniped right in his dome piece in that case. Ricotta looks super low too.
Still got it done.
They got Rachel, but they did capture
It's so funny, dude. It's like Cuss just pokes his head out. Ha ha, dink, god damn it. Has to get back inside. He literally just can't see any. Grover can heal through walls, so technically Grover, he just has to sit there and be safe. Cuskewty doesn't even get to view the other players playing the game.
Yeah.
Just playing a healing simulator right now. But you gotta say, man, Sometimes that's the way it goes. If people are looking at you, that is valuable. That is very valuable to have people staring at you, trying to get the angle on you, working, and not really. If you don't give them anything, you're wasting their time.
Right.
You're giving your team that time to find the angles, to get the opening shot. All that good stuff. And I have to say, the Knights are capitalizing on their moments for sure. When it rains, it is pouring.
Yeah, I mean, just by SSG's good
Look at
looks.
him. He's got a vine across. He is just, he knows, dude.
Yeah,
He's just
he
learned.
knows.
I ain't peeking nothing anymore, man. I'm over it.
I'm sick of this. I keep getting bullied every time I walk around any type of corner. He has to back off, though. G-Bunny, in this case, bullying Midtown, gets the pick on him. It's a little bit more far this time. He's like, don't worry, cuss, I got you. He's not going to trouble you anymore, my friend. G-Bunny with the overpower and throwing FRZ God right into the flames right there. Now looking at Rachel. He's in a bad spot, too, but he's literally moving all over the place.
I mean, G-Bunny has won this fight by himself. It's that simple. Up under the dome shield now. The other frontliners getting very staggered kills. Rochelle goes down, then Sadak. The other boys just now respawning. Dude, this could be a quiet end to game number 2, just given the staggered nature of the kills from Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I mean, oh,
thank
man.
God.
Yeah.
Finally.
He was aiming for cuss at that point. I mean, he was aiming for something, not just cuss, but trying to find some good damage onto the Anar to make sure that she wasn't able to do what she needed to. But I mean, still, it was even.
Well. Pittsburgh Knights front line today, man. Zarini and G-Bunny.
Yeah.
Holy. Game 1 and game 2. It's just a tag team effort from those two guys. Really nothing remarkable from Simsalou or Ricotta. Not bad. Not insane, like I'm saying. Right. Stealing the show for me right now is that front line. Final round there, G-Bunny walks down 2 targets, or 3 really, overpowers 1 in the lava. Nobody else had to do anything, man.
Yeah.
It was all Con, all G-Bunny, all good.
I mean, PK got the door open by them, got the door open for them by G-Bunny. They all just stroll right into their second win. Game 2 already in the books, but right after this break, it's game 3.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
If you follow Gormiser's train of thought, that one might have just done it for SSG. That's their map pick, Pittsburgh Knights. Not faltering. Sure, you give up 1 less point than game 1, but you still find yourself a win in 4-1 fashion. So Gormiser, is that the end?
I don't know if it's the end,
No, it's not. It
but
can't be the end.
it's definitely
Indicative,
not
maybe.
good. Yeah, it's one of those things. Bright Marsh, a really good map for SSG. They lose at 4-0. Splitstone, a really, really good map for SSG. The best they can do is a 4-1. This is when it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
They do get to continue choosing maps, which I guess is good for them, but as time goes forward in this kind of arena, it slips away from you fast. And even though you get a 21 streak there for Mitau, you know, he goes mostly undying throughout that one. It's, I think, a difficult comeback. A lot of good damage, a lot of good fights. They just don't have the control.
Plenty of damage from Ares, 90,000 in fact, 96 even from Freeze God. But and even if you look at it, nobody within 30,000 damage of that on the Knights. The only positive slash line in the Knights camp was G-Bunny at 10, 5, and 9. Every single other person, of course, assists notwithstanding. If you just look purely at kills and assists, or kills and deaths rather, G-Bunny's the only one on the Knights, and a big reason they won this game.
Yeah, I mean, he was the driving force. He was the spearhead that drove in the rest of the damage. And the thing is like, a lot of the other slash lines, you might look at it as, oh, well, you know, during XY as a defense, maybe they were killing off the rest more. But at the end of the day, G-Bunny is one of the win conditions for the Knights. It's always been that way. And I'm going to give myself a shout-out real fast. The thing I was saying I wanted Hero to do last set,
Yeah, I know.
G-Bunny just did it
What?
right there.
Oh, no!
As there is Dave,
Oh, no!
not only dancing, but it looked like he was going to take my eye out. I was looking for the eye patch.
Oh, no! I should have assumed.
Oh.
I should have. I'm
Nope.
back here carving up with a knife, and production's not saying a thing in my ear. I absolutely. You have to know in that moment. Oh my God.
Always watching.
Gormizer, chair to me. Highlight of the game: my dancing or G-Bunny's con? Which one?
Definitely the dancing. It looked like more damage would come out of that. Like it was a better Zen ult.
Oh God. Whatever. I'm good at
Then-
dancing. I promise. My mom says so, at least. But
Moms are the best.
they are absolutely the best. But the way G-Bunny played it, you're right. The effectiveness he had in that one fight. You take out the healer, then you go take out the top damage dealer in the game, and does it all on his own. That gets him the 4-1 win. That gets him the 2-0 lead as we dive down into Jaguar Falls. Of course, with Simsaloo on your team, you can never count Pip out. For some reason, that's always the first thing that jumps into my head on Jag Falls. Bomb King, another blaster you have to look at. But this is a big one for SSG. We seem close to a full reverse sweep, and it was SSG last time, but they fell a little bit short.
Well, here's the thing that I want to see, and this is specifically from the Knights. But if you, well, actually, no, most of them are banned away. But I mean, if you are in the kind of realm of possibility, you lose this one. That's when you start pulling out your Warder's Gates, your Bazaars, your et cetera, your Shattered Deserts. Unfortunately, most of those are gone for this set, so you have to figure out how to play around that now that you don't have that possibility.
You trespass and are unwanted,
But I mean,
stranger.
with these kind of bans, with this kind of pickup, I think SSG are maybe forcing the Knights into a different realm of fight.
Yeah, and you jump at the Inara. You ban out the Barrack. That's, normally, at least in this set, we see in the Ash as the second ban. Jumping at the opportunity to ban out the Barrack for themselves. Khan, Cassie, looking like the two locks here for the Knights.
Go Ziggs!
Not revealing too much out of the ordinary. But SSG, it's always that conversation of do you pick Khan first? Do you pick Ash first? Knights opt for the Khan. I think SSG realized, let's grab Inara. Let's grab that last sort of pillar of point tank, and then maybe we can flex into off tank after that.
I mean, this is definitely still in the Knights territory. And looking at, I mean, just the way things have gone, I said it, last week? I'll say it again this time around. If they pick him, Terminus is good against Inara, can play well against Inara. If you can draft up enough to cause some trouble here for Freeze God, like a Leon Terminus deterring a Drogos, kind of opens up the door for a little bit more to
You calling the Terminus
give
score?
the Knights, that potential. It depends on what route they want to go, but I would not mind a Leon Terminus pick right here. I think it could do well.
We'll have to wait and see. Teams taking a long time to think. And this is, this map kind of falls into that flexible category of, there's definitely different ways that you can rotate around and decide to play things. Knight's going to show some Ying. Cuss Cutie, one of the handful of supports in this league who has kind of shown that he can play the Ying. So I wouldn't be surprised if they lock that one in, and the variety in the support pool continues here as the Ying is locked in. Maeve follows it up. So nothing too out of the ordinary yet for the Knights. SSG have to reveal both, or depending on how many they want of their damage dealers here. They know that they're playing them into a Cassie Maeve, so lots of information for SSG to work with.
The only downside is they don't know what other tank they're going to have to deal with. That's like the big question mark. Or actually, at this rate, even if you do need to deal with another tank, I mean, you kind of have to make the decision. Your back's against the wall here. And this has been a typically good map. Bomb King was on that list of champions I was going to say, but I was actually thinking of Tyra. And mainly because Burn Monster, It's a little slow because of the spread of the fire, but you can usually kind of direct that around this point. If you go Mercy Kill, I think that loadout has been very prominent. Tyra has been very big on the success for SSG. And I don't think we will see as much Hunting Party, and I don't even know if we'll see her, but this has been a map that if you're going on strengths in the past, Tyra has always been on that list, but it's Leon.
SSG love themselves some Tyra. Not going to be her this time around for them. It is going to be the Leon, as you predicted earlier on, and the Bomb King to round it out. Definitely a map where Bomb King can excel. Going to play right alongside that Ash, opens up the doorway. Bomb King is going to fill it with a whole bunch of damage. SSG locked in, 5 up, 5 down for them. Knights looking for one more. Could be the Terminus. Gorg, clap yourselves. We'll see if they lock in. I don't want to peek too soon, but if they do lock it in, I will give you props. You brought it up.
Well, it's not just, I think it's easy to bring up just because the Knights have been playing it, so, I'm not going to take credit for that. They've been talking about how Zarini's
take all of the credit.
I just think it is absolutely worth noting that and back in the day, when Terminus was very prominent, he was picked into Inara because he could deal with Inara. He was very good at just kind of pushing her away from the objective, kind of telling her, get out of here. Like, nobody cares.
Right.
Get out of here. Go away and let us have this objective. I think with a Ying behind him, if Maeve and Cassie can pick up the kills, the biggest issue is the Bomb King. That's kind of where his focus, I think that's where his fright might be. But if you can deal with this in the right way, you can crack this shell at the right slice, could be clean for the Knights.
There's kind of a Venn diagram of like SSG, Terminus, and losing games. Unfortunately, normally it's on SSG's team. This time they could find a loss when he's on the Knights. We'll have to see how this one plays out. I am very excited because we've seen some success out of Terminus on the front lines. Most recently, actually, I think it was the Knights last time they played. Zarini picked up Terminus on Ice Mines.
Yep.
I think was the last time we saw Terminus kind of played. So he's shown that he can do it pretty well. Let's see if he continues that trend in game number 3.
Indeed, we will have to see if he can continue at the Terminus. Once again, being brought out for Grandmaster Zarini here. Between him and Kresnik, I don't know who's the better Terminus.
Zarini.
Yeah.
No offense.
No, I set that up on purpose.
I'm just assuming.
I set that up on purpose. That's completely fine. I mean, I like the Terminus.
Oh, yeah.
Did bring up the point. He has Decimation. So those Calamity Blasts, when he stores up those charges, going to hurt a lot more than normal in this case. I mean, and of course, Gore brought up a good point. There was a time where Terminus really did try to fight back against the Inara.
For sure. He, does good damage, right? I mean, he's doing 650 a swing. It's a high number to scale Bulldozer off of, so when you drop a Warder's Field, you just cleave right through it. Not only are you still hitting Inara, but you like right here. That's the situation. You get to the point, I mean, look how low it is already, those 1 or 2 swings. You pick up the very cheap item in Bulldozer, and you're good to go. You're 1 or 2 tapping that bad boy. The only thing that slows Terminus down is he's literally bringing an axe to a gunfight, right? But if you can stay on top of it, I mean, listen to that. Just listen to that.
That sounds like it hurts.
You can't handle that for very long. You got maybe 3 to 4 hits of that before you're dust.
I mean, Rashad manages to pick up the kill on the Ricotta, but we already saw previously that Zarini did indeed get the Bomb King. Here he is again, just standing on point, soaking up the percentage, just bathing in the sunlight here. 72% for them. Disperses all of his charges with that right click, and I mean, man, oh man, is he leading the aggression right now? I mean, he's already gotten 1 kill. Now he's pushing them back as best as he possibly can, trying to deal with that Warder's Field right there. But I mean, yeah, it's he's trying to reach it and slowed him down a lot. Tries to go in for the side on the Ares. Look at that burst damage, but a wall is gonna be enough to keep Ares alive, man.
It's a close one, man. This is a close knit fight, 78 to 75 in favor of the Knights as they take it up north of 80 now. Up and over and back on down. Smash Inara. Take her to town, baby. Zarini. Would you rather be smacked by that hammer or the Massacre Axe, dude? I've been thinking about it.
Could I just not get hit by any of
you
that?
have to pick one.
I have to pick
door
one?
number 1 or door number 2.
What were the options again?
The Massacre Axe or the, I don't even know what that thing's called, the Banhammer. I think the axe just because I would probably die faster.
Maybe, but I feel like with how hard he's swinging that hammer that it'd be more than likely to kill me immediately
It would
up
kill
on
it?
impact.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Impact.
I don't want to just be on the ground with bone dust inside of my...
I understand, but I'm pretty sure them swinging that hammer, especially after getting that kill, all of them are going to end up being turned right into juice right now. Zarini's swinging for the fences, literally trying to hit a home run right now. 3 kills already. Triple for PK as they're trying to push this payload in.
4-0. Has he failed on Terminus yet? I
don't know. He's won every time.
3 games, this being one of them. There's 3 games in my mind where I've just seen Zarini smacking him. Granted, Terminus is not a mainstream pick. I guess Zarini just knows the situations that he can be successful. Still a lot of game to play here, though, for the Knights. So far, so good in the first round. Right to the back line. Zarini's not done with you yet.
He's trying to eat up as many charges as he can. Gets fully stocked on it. We already see the Ares and Rachel have eaten up so much damage. Just sitting there. Another fully charged. The gun's cocked. He's ready to fire. And in this case, he's looking for an open target. He's just trying to eat as many charges as he can. They assert dominance on the right flank, but he's really holding off as best as he can on the left. Literally zoning out 2 people. He's gonna have to back off, but a good wall from Rachel is gonna allow him to be able to fall. Finally, the first death for him in this game.
No ultimate pop this time around. Of course, no teammates around to reignite that fight for. Plenty of defensive utility here for Spacestation Gaming. Dread Serpent's King Bomb, Seismic Crash. I mean, whew, that's a lot of CC, Stefan. I mean, Knights are gonna be going pretty much straight into resilience, I would imagine. This, you know, when there's 2 hard CC ultimates, you're thinking about it. When there's 3, most likely that's your first item. Second item that you're making it into. Zarini and G-Bunny, the front line's already working into that chain broken item.
I mean, Midnight being used to try and find a way in, and they do find it, but unfortunately Ricotta ends up falling at that cost element, and G-Bunny goes down too. And now we see that Zarini, man, he's trying to hold on as best as he actually can. He does end up going down, so he's not going to be able to revive with that, and that's going to be a 1-1 already for both these teams.
Fun stuff there in the first round, especially from the young, I was going to say the young gun, but the young hammer here, Zarini. Coming from the minor league in between Phase 1 and Phase 2. He's made a splash in the Premier League for sure, and now he's making his mark. He's leaving a permanent legacy here and being one of the best, if not the best and only Terminus player at the moment. Like we said, this is including this game, this is the 3rd time I've seen him do it and be successful. I don't, you know, Sadok's done it, but he failed miserably, right?
Right.
So maybe it's just Zarini knows the situations in which this character is going to succeed a little bit better. Maybe it's a loadout tuning thing. I don't know. I like the items he's picking up as well. All you got to do is stay in range and swing, swing, swing away. Resilience prevents you from being slowed down. Nimble speeds you up. And soon, I'm sure that bulldozer, I don't know if the bulldozer will come through. We'll have to see what he ends up going for. Because right now, it just seems like he's largely avoiding the Warder's Field rather than trying to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely giving them the respect, but my goodness, 2 good swings.
It is so fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It's cool seeing this man literally walk the rest of SSG down already. Between him and G-Bunny, man, I mean, they're definitely doing so much, and the rest of the team is just following suit. Props to PK for being able to know how to play behind the Terminus, by the way.
There it
being
is.
able to drop that in 96% already, and they've captured the point, my man.
Let's take one more look at that Terminus loadout. I want to kind of break down the interaction that's kind of making it flow. So Necromantic Mike, part of that is a huge ability for you to be able to, you're holding stuff with your power siphon, right? Each one of these little ticks is what one of those Calamity Blasts is. So this card makes it easier for you to absorb damage. The threshold in which you generate a charge is much lower. The more charges you're getting, you can see successful Calamity Blasts will generate some power siphon charges. So it's this positive feedback loop of charging, absorbing damage, it's giving you more missiles, hitting more missiles, gives you more juice to absorb more damage, to fire more missiles, to blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You get the picture. Power Siphon is without a doubt the most impactful part and unique part of Terminus's kit. I think he did.
Yeah, because I don't see it.
What a perfect time to bring that up. Power Siphon is the most impactful part of Terminus's kit. It completely gobbles and destroys any projectiles, including ultimates, that find their way through it.
Oh my goodness. I mean, just the man. You saw him flick the power siphon off to the left. Hulk smash in this case. Terminus, he's swinging for the fences. Double kill already. The man is powering up. He's ready to fight him. My goodness, if he is not wreaking havoc. He eats an ultimate, sees his teams being dove in the back line. It's like, all right, yeah, right. I forgot. There's more people of this for me to kill in this case. I can run down as many guys as I want to. And he immediately turns around, gets a double, swinging non-stop, man. I love it. I love to see characters you don't normally see be brought out, and these teams make them work.
Has anybody noticed that Terminus is all we've watched for the past 8 minutes and 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Does anybody mind?
I don't think so.
Didn't think so either.
No.
I'm having a blast
I am
watching
too.
this character.
This is pretty great.
9-2. Zarini continuing this pace he set earlier on. So he's moved, still has the same Nimble 2, Resilience 2 at this point, Rejuve 2. This whole item build is just about not being slowed down. Has not reanimated just yet, and that's okay. Reanimate is a very, very slow charging ultimate on top of the fact that Terminus, you can't always be in the fight. You have this big act. You have a melee weapon. You don't have the range. You don't get any poke charge. You get none of that, right? You have to pick and choose your battles wisely, which means you have to pick and choose your ultimates even wiser.
Yeah, they end up using the Assert Dominance and the Seismic Crash, but Ying counteracts all of that. We already see him still fighting, still holding ground, not giving up. Simsaloo finds a kill in the mid-tower all the way back in their spawn, and that's already something.
Did she go over?
Wait, did she?
Oh, no, she got the touch. I was going to say, I think Cassie just disengaged her over the point, and she didn't get the touch.
Oh, okay.
She gets the touch, but it's Cuss just laughing. I mean, that's heavy lifting there. Zarini.
Yeah, man.
10-1 on Brightmarsh on Inara. Stealing points on Splitstone Quarry. Absolutely obliterating everyone with Terminus on Jaguar Falls. Zarini has taken over this set.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever wanted to consider, hey, maybe Zarini's not so good at Paladins, literally watch that. Rewatch that entire game on Jaguar Falls, man. I mean, the Terminus pick, first off, is something we never see. Literally only PK has been going to it for a legitimate strategy. They bring it out every time. It works. It has worked every time they brought it out now.
So far, so good. The line between, is this a niche situation that Terminus is just working for, or is it just Zarini being that effective on it, right? Does it matter? Is it one or the other? It's working for the Pittsburgh Knights. So far, so good. The only successful, that's the important caveat there, successful Terminus player in the league, Zarini. Can he be stopped?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's so up in the air now. I mean, we've seen Terminus, we've seen Moji, we've seen some out of the norm picks here today, but it's been absolutely amazing. Game 3 already done at 3-0 for PK.
Jeez.
Right after this break, man. We'll get right into Game 4.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back. Jaguar Falls. Well, that's over as fast as the first two maps were. Another big win for the Pittsburgh Knights. Not something I expected coming into today. The frontline dominance continues, and everything else seemingly just steamrolling from there. I mean, Gormizer, you bring up Game 1, you bring up Game 2, now Game 3. I mean, what does SSG have to cling on to? Are they just getting bullied out of these games?
It feels like, again, adaptation is the name of the game. Who knows the meta right now a little better, and the Knights seem to be well, I don't want to say a few steps ahead, maybe a little bit more than a few steps ahead. I mean, a 4-0, a 4-1, a 4-1. They know what they're doing. They're isolating them, they're slicing them down. And I was telling you this coming into it. SSG are starting to exhaust their map pool at this point. They are getting to the kind of dregs of the maps.
You're right. I mean, they've picked 2 of them, lost both. They're going to have one more map pick to try to propel them back into this set. Cuskewty, 36,000 damage above damage healing, what Mitau is able to provide. 16 streak for him, 14 streak for Simsalou. Slash lines, a little bit more on the Knights' favor. Splitstone was like everyone was negative except for G-Bunny. This one, I mean, so overwhelmingly in favor of the Knights. Not even a toss-up. You know which team won just by looking at it. Zerini at 10-2-4. Terminus was a lot of the questions that we had, and he answered them.
It looks very, very similar, and it makes sense because of the maps to Brightmarsh, where it was. Jack Falls and Brightmarsh are very similar in nature. Turns out the Knights play very similar in nature when they're on it. I mean, 7-3-11 for Ricotta, 7-1-7 there for Simsalou, so a better performance, I think, out of him than we saw on Brightmarsh. Yeah. But Zerini and Ricotta both still up there doing exactly what they did the first time around. I mean, Zerini getting this aggressive, making the Terminus work, and just tearing apart SSG. I don't know what they can do to pick this out.
I mean, not only just make it work. I mean, he made the Terminus look very, very good. It's not that conversation of did we win in spite of the Terminus. It's like you won because of the Terminus in many regards. Playing that kit perfectly, always fun to see. Big old Shatterfall there. So Zerini, you know, we have this conversation around the league of, you know, who are pit players, who are our ruckus players, you know, XYZ, depending on the champion. Talk about Terminus. Now that's something I think we have to keep our eyes on for Zerini. Anytime that, you know, the meta, the team composition maybe caters itself to a Terminus, you now have to consider Zerini as a threat to play that champion, where a lot of people in this league haven't shown to be up to that.
Yep.
Map 4. 4 is the big number here.
4-0.
4-1, 4-1. Game 4, maybe going over to the Knights. They'll look to do it one last time. SSG looking to complete the reverse sweep. Won 3 straight, fell short in 7 to NIP a couple weeks ago. The Knights looking to prevent that. One last win here on Stone Keep. Willow back to the ban column. Wouldn't you guess it? Atlas follows it up. I'm going to guess a Makoa as well, Gore.
Probably. And unfortunately, I mean, SSG looking kind of dejected in the booth this time around as they wait. Conversation here for the Knights. And there were 2 maps, I think, that were in my mind that we were going to go to. It was either Stone Keep or Ice Mines, right? And it's just both of those still feel like they could center more around the Knights than SSG.
Sure.
But they both give SSG that option of like, well, here's a place you've been before, you know it pretty well, you can try your best to win on it. Well, I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate for them yet, but they chose Stone Keep. And as you guessed it, Makoa and Atlas were banned away by the Knights.
And, you know, this is tough. I mean, not even just for SSG, but, you know, this is your one and only game of the week if you're Space Station Gaming and, you know, you wait all this time. You know, Knights as well. But it's tough that you kind of have all this build-up, big prep coming in for the week, and then blown out of the water in the first 3 games of this set. So looking to just grab something. Got to take it one win at a time at this point if you're Space Station Gaming to bring yourself back into it. Can't look at it like you need to win 4. You need to win 1, and then 1, and then 1, and then 1. Look to at least do that. Ash first pick for them. Maybe a con for the Knights, as well as a Maeve. Simsalou, big performance on Jaguar Falls. We've kind of brought up how he's had some very good games, not any bad games. It hasn't been quite the pop-off 20-kill crazy performance Simsalou that we're used to. Last game on Jaguar Falls, a lot in part due to what the Knights were able to provide him. Big Maeve game, though, out of him. I imagine he'll continue some of that intensity into Stone Keep.
And even though this map isn't known for its complete control with overpower coming down from Con, there's no like kill field to just kind of yeet people off the map into, there's still plenty of room for G-Bunny to take that and pilot this entire game using Con in the right way. And so being able to kind of shake that up, Barrick and Inara both still available. And I mean, honestly, if you're going to go for the Inara here as SSG, that still opens up the Knights to, if they want to, go back to Terminus. It depends on how they're feeling. I think Barrick is my preference on this map, but
Agreed.
it's you know, always up to the Knights. And when it comes to like to counter drafting, They didn't know how to deal with it last map. They might not know how to deal with it this map either.
In this
That's
game,
true.
you win
Yeah, I mean,
or
because
you
SSG,
die. There is no
they're not going to
middle
lock
ground.
in Inara. Looks like they pivot at the last minute to Leon.
If you need
Like
help,
Wei Ying to
don't
follow it
hesitate
up.
to
So
ask.
both still on the board. Actually, now the Knights have to question, all right, we already have our off tank as far as point tanks go, because they might want to keep that last direct damage open to draft. Leon is gone now. So there's only so much to fill in there. Genos, I think, a logical pick here. Frontline, though, Inara, Barrack, still the options. Looks like they would have gone Barrack anyway, so SSG grabbed themselves Leon and Ying, especially essentially for free.
This draft so far from the
There's the
Knights, no matter who they grab for that last
You
pick,
trespass
this
and
is
are
a
unwanted,
very,
stranger.
very solid Genos pick to be able to come through. Synergizes well with Khan. Khan can heal himself. Khan can take the Luminary boost if he wants to, but it goes well with Maeve. It goes well with Barrack. Both tanks being able to kind of keep themselves alive. The damage amp, meaning they just do so much damage, SSG might not know what to do with it. I think you're looking at this Leon having to go above and beyond. I'm talking Freeze God last week, putting everybody on his back, playing like a different player, and it looks like that'll be Ares. So Freeze God this time on Bomb King has to do that same performance. He has to single-handedly turn this set around.
Bomb King is sort of that feast or famine blaster that we've started to see, where you'll have some big performances where game-changing, and you'll also see the fall by the wayside, rather would have picked somebody else in retrospect kind of Bomb King. So definitely something to keep an eye on here in this game. Knights thinking long and hard about their final pick, looking to close out this set in 4, as 3 other teams have done so this week out of 4 previous games. There's some easy, quick math for you. Strix being hovered right now. Definitely a map where
Ghost Feather
it works. Knights seem to agree.
Well, Strix locked in right there. That's good damage. It's good dismounts. That's good explosive amounts of damage onto a Leon.
Yeah.
Onto an Inara. No one to really focus him down. They don't have a flank that gets back there easily to deal with him. You're going to have to look towards Bomb King, maybe shifting around, running either straight through or going a completely different path where maybe he's not as impactful in any of the other fights to get this Strix. So you either have to divert your resources completely to get over to him, or you have to accept the fact that Strix is just going to be free firing.
Yeah, that's kind of the question. I mean, maybe Leon can kind of outpoke here and there, but Strix right now looking pretty safe. Well, for one last time, potentially one last time today, let's send it down to your casters and kick things off.
I mean, if I were to see a Strix, there'd be one person, well, a couple people I could think of, but more than anything, Ricotta, that I would be able to trust this Strix on. We've seen him bring it out in Stonekeep before, so I'm a little bit excited to see how he's going to do this game on Strix.
Yeah, man. Ooh.
Perfect. Perfect, actually.
He's dialed in, dude.
He is.
He's dialed in.
He's ready.
The scope, sighted, everything's dialed in, set to maximum firepower. Yep. Young Strix. Can he get it done? I think so, man. There's nobody really to dive in to put too much pressure on him. And he outranges Leon. Leon has that one shot from presence that can contest Strix at 1,200 damage, but you have to be extremely far away.
And so it
I don't know. Hopefully Ash can get in there. Hopefully Bomb King can follow it up. But most Strix is positioned right here on Stonekeep. It's very, very safe. Dash already burned by Ash, so she will not be able to close that gap quickly. On Ricotta.
Yeah, good couple shots from Ricotta all the way in the back. I mean, he's not really going to try and move anywhere else. Already at first, Egon and Zadak are really on the side over here. Of course, he's chucking out bombs, and of course, they're trying to zone. And now they've been able to sit on the point, but the percentages are even. Zimsaloo, though, is the first one to find first blood in this case. And now he's going to look at the rest of them, Zadak, and just keep throwing out daggers with that prowl, with Cap Burglar. And it's going to open up a window of opportunity for PK to push them in.
That pick now, Ricotta's moving, staying involved in this fight. Look at this. Sitting at the ambush, opens up onto Leon. Doesn't go for the switch into the flare to burst her down, but gets 2 plugs onto the healer and onto Leon. Great start from Ricotta. It's not kills, but it's a lot of pressure onto some backline squishier targets that probably weren't ready to be shot almost point blank by a Strix.
Right. I mean, he's already back in the same spot as before. Just as quickly as we saw him push up, he's already back knows where he needs to be, gets a good headshot and and another body shot onto Rachel. He's already looking so good. And the same thing that happened. It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu. Good flashbang to come out from Strix as well. Simsalou finds a kill on the Rachel, and now he's looking for more. He's hungry. He's looking for blood in this case. 78% for PK already.
What do you think the comms were like after that flashbang?
They can't see. They can't see.
I'm blind. I'm blind.
Yeah.
Still blind. Okay. Big dead.
Yeah.
And Midtown burns the illusory rift. I don't know. This is just SSG like throwing ultimates at the wall, and trust me when I say none of them are sticking.
Oh my goodness. I mean, one thing that did stick was that overpower. I mean, immediately grabbed Ares, forced him off. Sadak makes it back, but just not in time to be able to contest. He gets rid of Ricotta and Simsalou. Farzik's looking ready, but Zerini picks him off, and I mean, G-Bunny's like slowly backing up, but it was such a dominating performance earlier on. We're already seeing the caught twos come out. G-Bunny and Zerini have caught twos that they can buy, and I mean, it's looking good.
Oh, Time and Space will connect, and Ash is going to be able to pick up the kill on the Strix there. Nicely done. I attribute a lot of that win in the mid-fight, frankly, to Simsalou. I thought his rotations were great. You know, when you got your sniper playing deep in the back, your support, I believe, yeah, it was their support, goes straight to Church. You don't really have a lot of bodies to throw at the keeper, as SSG threw everything up there.
Ooh.
You've got Simsalou floating from staircase to balcony to opponent's staircase. It's not a lot of ground, but it was enough for Simsalou to effectively get a flank off, put some pressure on, get a kill, and then get out cleanly. I mean, it was really the perfect job for a Mave, and, you know, he really stepped up to the plate there. That was going to be a hard fight for them. A lot of poking, a lot of prodding, probably not a lot of killing blows. They need to find a way to transition to Strix's early damage to a Mave killing blow.
Yeah, I mean,
just like that.
Just like that. I was just about to say, just like that. In that case, we see Simsalou go around, gets FRZ Garachao, boost himself up just for a little bit of easier target practice for PK in that case. Already pushing him all the way back to that corner. Overpower is there. Flashbang is too. Dome Shield is ready. Time and Space building up, man. I mean, Illusory Rift's really the only thing they've got next to King Bomb that's up right now, but PK, man, throughout this entire set, the aggression has been so real, he can't even use his ultimate.
Simsy, my man, is finding the killing blows. Effective.
Wow,
Ricotta
dude.
staying involved. That's one of the qualities I think I love most about a sniper. Somebody who can start a fight on the right foot, but stay involved after that. One kill is not enough. Ricotta continues to move forward to get more aggressive, to find new angles, new lines of sight, and put pressure and find shots on the targets in positions where they wouldn't normally be expecting to be shot from.
Right.
Example, that shot onto Leon, he goes all the way through Church. She's on her back staircase, and she's getting popped by Strix. Midtower kind of peeks his head out to be like, wait, what's going on? And then he gets popped too. And then both of them are just trapped in the back, healing each other up, wasting a lot of time. It's not a kill on the board. Nobody will remember it or sing songs of it. But it's those little moments that I think, you know, make the difference in a good versus a great sniper.
I agree with that entirely. I mean, it's having the sniper presence as well that makes people more scared than they normally are. They don't want to get all that damage dealt to them in such a short amount of time already. I'll stand a little bit in the way, but they do shoot. They wait a little bit. They jump right over the shot. But once again, Ricotta's feeling comfortable. He hasn't really been contested this entire time because how can they? Simsalou's already in their back line too. We see he gets a good shot into the illusion, pops that out of the way. But we already see Simsy is looking for another opportunity, but look at the overpower already on the FRZ god. No one's shooting, but
there it is.
He will get the kill.
So much damage off the back of the slam of the overpower. One for one, though. Ricotta does lose his life. Steps a little bit over half court, maybe getting overzealous. There it is. More damage from Simsalou is good for another kill. 2 for 1 in favor of the Knights.
Now Cus is pretty much just sitting onto the point. Now G-Bunny's going to try and push up along with Simsalou and Zerini. G-Bunny's watching ground level. These guys are watching keep, and somehow they're managing to zone out what seems to be 3 individuals. Enlightenment comes through. Doesn't find its mark, though, because Zerini still looking pretty healthy. Puts out the turret. King Bomb follows through. They do get Zerini, and because of that, now they're able to sit on the point.
Great stuff and a 90% lead, but comeback mechanic enabled, and Nara firmly planted on the objective. Khan, low HP, falling back. Cuss tries to pull this one back, but can't. Look at this, though. Ricotta, at the last possible second, gets a key pick. Is this enough, Stefan? I don't know. There's a small glimmer of hope.
I'm not too sure either. The fact that G-Bunny went down, though, definitely is not singing praises of PK in this case. The illusory rift goes out just to make sure he can capitalize on that. Now they're starting to stay on top of Ricotta more.
Jeez.
Now they're dealing with him. Now they got the picks. They got Zarina. They got Ricotta. They got Simsalou. G-Bunny's just another name, another number for SSG in this case. They are finally able to capture the point and break the aggression that PK has had on them this entire set.
Is that their first offense?
I think so. Was it a 12-0 up until that point?
I think it might have been. On Bright, really the only question was they didn't go on offense on Bright Marsh.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. And they did not jag. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay.
Great
nice.
stuff so far from the Knights. A dominant set. I can't find those last couple of shots from Rochelle. It's been all about a small slowdown from Ricotta has opened the door for SSG to get back into this game.
He's finding the shots, but, I mean, credits to Sadak for being on him as much as he was. He's moving up, using that invisibility, giving him a little bit of more movement speed. They're looking at Rochelle now. Everyone's pretty much focusing him, but it's not going to be enough. Ying not only keeps him alive, but also makes sure he can get out safely. And because of that, FRZ God is able to punish a little bit of a too greedy G-Bunny. Assert dominance to go out into the keep. Simsalou can't find the daggers to do the damage. One thing he will do is try and go in the back line for Ares, but he pops the illusory rift. Zarini's next on the line, and he goes down too.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates here from SSG. I think really what they're trying to do is with enough time left on the clock to get them recharged. They're trying to win this fight, get this payload pushed into striking distance, meaning one, sometimes not even full team fight victory, would allow them enough space to capture and convert this payload. So even if they do lose here from the rest of the round, they still get their ultimates charged back up. Worst case scenario, they have everything going available, into this 1 3-point fight, and they will still have comeback mechanic, and they will still have a way out, like they did in this round.
Because definitely getting some damage off onto these tanks, and really, he's in a perfect spot to be able to use it through time and space. If anyone misstepped into that small little room right there, but thanks to Ricotta, thanks to Cuss and Simsalou, all three of them together with their powers combined, they do make up at least 3 people of PK.
23 on the clock. Everybody's respawned. I think if people get knocked off their horses, this is going to be a really tough overtime. And everybody, I think, but Nara. Did Nara made it through, I think. Yeah, he can keep somewhere. And this is going to challenge.
Nice.
He's going to succeed. Ricotta's with him, too, man. Ricotta's playing one of the more aggressive snipers I think we have seen in Phase 2. He is right there with Simsalou, pushing down somebody in the back line. No overtime, no nothing. Dominant defense from the Knights. All but Sadak get their ultimate recharged as well. That's a, if I had to skunk one person on getting their ult recharged, it would be assert dominance on Sadak.
Yeah, I mean, they have the Seismic Crash, they have the King Bomb Illusory Rift for more defensive purposes, and they have Enlightenment, so they could possibly win Keep off of a really, really good Seismic Crash, but at the same time, all the ults in retrospect are for PK as well. So, I mean, it really just depends on who decides to get the pick first. That's what's going to decide, I think, this round.
So CC heavy as well. Not a ton of resilience. Ricotta just at the 1. G-Bunny just going into Rezo 1. I think Zarini had level 2 there. But a lot of crowd control overall for Space Station Gaming. And Assert Dominance is really the only one that brings utility outside of that stun. Damage immunity for Ashe is enough to save Ashe, but not enough to save Ares.
And FRZ got so low as well. He does manage to get the kill. The fact that they got that, I mentioned it before. They do find the pick. They find one, and because of that, it seems like SSG can't even do anything. G-Bunny got a kill. Cuss gets a kill. Now Simsalou's looking for one. He finds one on Rachao. Ricotta also looking at some good snipes right here. Looking to find his opening. He gets it. With all of their powers combined, you can see them become all of PK and also a simultaneous reference to Captain Planet.
Dude. My goodness gracious. The Knights came to play today. They had it locked down. Honestly, finally, it's about time Simsalou and Ricotta kind of took over a game there because it was all Zarini and G-Bunny and Cuss up until that point. A nice snipe to set up, to, so to speak, open that door like the boys in the front line had been doing all set long. But beyond that, man, the Knights came storming through. SSG still getting their feet under them, it would appear. What SSG shows up is still a big question. Obviously, a lot of questions still to be answered in the standings. We believe this is a top 4 team that can perform as such. They just need more time to get practiced, to get tuned up on Phase 2.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are giving it their all, but I mean, he talked a little bit about it in the interview. I mean, we had showed like a quick video about how the fact they were like, yeah, we think we're going to drop. We don't think we're going to be able to do
we're going
too
down.
well. We definitely are.
That's
I
funny.
mean, they were all, not necessarily for that, but they knew that they were going to have a struggle coming into this split. I mean, it's been hard for them, but at the same time, SSG are still looking good for a team that hasn't practiced in, well, it feels like forever.
Definitely, man. And with the Knights kind of blazing new territory with the Terminus and stuff like that can be a hard team to read when any single person could pop off. It was Zarini for the majority of this set, but you've got, of course, Simsalo and Ricotta that can also pull huge weight. Throwing that around, you just never know where to put the gloves up to really defend effectively against the Knights.
Right. I mean, and we see so many versatile team compositions already. A quick 4-0 for PK in this case. And I mean, I don't know what else to say, so I'm going to throw it back to the desk to find out what they think about it.
I have to disagree. I think that they don't look that good, and it's hard because they obviously had their troubles a couple weeks ago, but they've had time to practice. I mean, they're definitely lagging behind.
Yeah.
But I think the asterisk is maybe fading a little bit. Maybe there's still an asterisk there. They came in way late. They have this backlog of games to make up on. But I think you're at like a 10% opacity on your asterisk at this point.
This was the week. That's the thing for me. This was the week. I guess maybe you can give credit to next week, whatever they play. But like, reset, new meta, things are shifting. If you're SSG, this is the week to come in and look good. This is the game to come in to push this to 4-3. I think they played, fine for SSG.
Sure.
Knights played out of their damn minds.
Yeah. I agree. No, maybe that's the right way of looking at it is.
I mean, Ricotta did 90,000 damage.
You're right. I think I was slightly too harsh right out of the gate on SSG. If that's an average SSG game, they'll be okay in the long run. Unfortunately, they happen to run into a high-flying
Knights.
Right.
But also in this vein where, I mean, other teams are high-flying like this too. Like, I mean, an average SSG game isn't enough anymore, right?
Right, sure.
You gotta escalate that up. I mean, you gotta deal with this Mave, 15, 5, and 10. You gotta figure something out. They just weren't able, I don't know what it was, but they didn't feel like they were hitting on the same cylinders. And I mean, I look at it, look at, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? Either way, you get Freeze God on Leon on this map, and he's going like 20-2. Like, that's the performance you need to have.
And I think that's why I kind of am back and forth on SSG right now, because the last time they played,
they
have a huge, they look fantastic. They look great in their last game, so a little bit of a regression, but at the same time, I do think that this is a good but average performance from SSG. But how do you compete with a 15-kill, 4.0, 83,000 damage Mave? That remains to be seen.
Yeah,
and that's the difference. Sometimes, I'm like, Simsalo hasn't really had that huge performance. He's been there, he's been good, but hasn't really broken that ceiling. How's that for breaking a ceiling? 15, 5, double-digit assists. Big day for the Knights. Big day for all of the teams. 4-1 was the closest we got this entire week. The Knights, they got to be feeling good, but let's hear what they're thinking.
All right, guys, thank you so much, of course, for joining us. And one thing it is that I'll bring up, of course, is it's the hot topic. It's the Terminus. I remember before we had talked about it. It was like Zarini just brought it out. Everyone was like, well, okay, that ended up working. But this time around, he brought it out again. We've seen a lot of success for this. Did you guys start planning drafts around that now? Are you guys are we expecting this more, or is this once again just a one-time thing?
I think it's a backup plan, right?
Yeah, it's more of a backup strat. And the best thing about Terminus is it's that mysterious element. And when it's coming up or we're cooking it in the draft, everyone gets a little hype. It's just a huge morale boost. When we're like, is this a Terminus game? Everyone on the team just gets a little too excited.
And Zarini's like the best term in the league, so we're happy to pick him at any time.
Agreed. I like his loadout. What is it? What is a Terminus game? What sort of factors start to brew those thoughts and maybe spark that fire? Is it Zarini that kind of wants to lead you guys that way, or what do you look out for when it's time to pull out Term?
I think we just look for field division for the most part. Can things get behind him? Can things stun Terminus? Is Terminus able to buy us 10 seconds of time on point? It's just a matter of how fragile is he? And if the answer is not too fragile, he just wreaks havoc.
There on Stone Keep, Strix and snipers in general are not uncommon to be seen, but I have to say you were getting very aggressive. Past half court is the metaphor I like to use. Pushing into the back line, is that something that you think has to be done with Strix on Stone Keep to stay relevant? Is that something you try to read the battlefield and just stay involved? Or how do you know when it's time to push in as a sniper?
Back when I was in Splice, I played like 2 heroes and I sucked. And one of those heroes was Ambush Strix, so it feels kind of natural. But it's funny you say that because this month has been like a month of discovery for team play. We're trying to stray away from mechanical play and individual performances.
Yeah.
So I feel like I played slow.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of playing slow, on Split Zone Core, Cuss, feels like they just had it out for you, man. Every time we saw your little Grover head peek out of a doorway, you're getting ripped to pieces. How do you adjust and play around and recognize that type of pressure?
His ego's too big.
That was mostly like on the first point fight. I think I settled down towards the end of the game. I wasn't playing to like our win condition, and I was taking peeks that I shouldn't be taking. But when I play Grover, I always do that, so it's a fatal flaw of mine.
That's the way, boys. Last question. Playing SSG, there's a lot of question marks for them in this league, but I think for you guys to them, because you haven't seen them in a while either, so is it really just preparing your game plan, your game style, and not worrying too much about what they're doing because they're the ones playing catch up at the end of the day?
It's definitely just us being able to. I think we had like an epiphany this week. We were doing a lot of team talking, a lot of VOD review, more so than we ever have before. And it was necessary. We needed a full like team reset, and we got that this week. And unfortunately, I don't think SSG had their best week. If they had their best week, that turns into a slobber knocker, right? Like they're such a good team. But lucky for us, we had that epiphany, and they weren't playing 100% SSG, so it's kind of just how it went.
Awesome. Gentlemen, congratulations. Thanks so much for the performance. Methodical 4-0 here from the Knights to start off their weekend. Let's get it back up to the desk. Close out our day.
I can't agree anymore with Cuss Cutie there towards the end. Mentions off week maybe for SSG, but an on week for the Knights, and maybe that's all there is to it. I imagine this is an SSG team that'll look to rebound, get their feet back under them, and look for better performances moving forward.
I mean, if you think about it in any way other than this, SSG have the most games left to be played of anybody. Right. And so, even though this one might not be landing on their feet, like you said, they are definitely going to have to pick it up. A lot of zeros on that screen that I don't think were really expected, honestly.
Yeah, fast week. Absolutely fast week. 4-0 for everyone. The only 4-1, of course, you see there, first set of our day, Envy Kanga. That one was a 4-1. Notably, Kanga 16-0 points-wise over Renegades for our second set yesterday. So a very quick week.
Yeah.
Maybe some standings, things shift around, but by and large, dominant performances. I mean, there were some close ones, lots of 4-3s map-wise, but I think this is probably the fastest week we've had yet, and we had 5 games. In a 5-game week, we are maybe out-surpassing what we had in some of those 4-game weeks.
Some of the regular weeks, yeah. It's been impressive for a lot of these guys to be able to come through, and I think control as much as they did. I mean, Kanga, like you said, a 16-0, that's not something that happens often. And with Knights getting that win as well, I mean, look at them. 6 and 7 are 1 game away from each other right now. And even at that, 9 maps away from each other. So things can shift almost instantaneously down there. And the same thing can be said. I mean, SSG right now sitting at 5th. But a couple more losses, they start tacking down towards the bottom. Kanga and Knights rise up. And maybe they have better seeding going into qualifiers.
I mean, they are on average 2, 3, 4 games, depending on how you look at behind. So you got to take number 5 with a grain of salt, but you're absolutely right that if the trend continues, if you lose the next 4 games, then you kind of keep pace. But if you're able to backtrack, kind of win some of those next games, Spacestation Gaming will look to try to stay in contention for that top. But those double-digit wins for 1 through 4, that's going to be really hard to break into.
Yeah.
I mean, the likes of Navi, NIP, Virtus Pro, and Envy, those are your guardians to automatic qualifiers to HRX, and teams are 5 wins minimum behind that 4th spot. So there needs to be some serious drops from those top 4 teams and some serious pickups from those bottom 4 teams to try to catch up. Maybe some teams with a chance to do so next week as we see what we got on the slate for us. SSG going to continue their backloaded schedule against Envy. Doubleheader for them against Kanga as well. So big opportunity to tie up their win-loss record there. Knights, Navi round out day number 1. Another 5-set week as the Knights look to continue their tear through Kanga Esports, and that's a big one. That first matchup on day 2, because that dictates kind of that 7-8 spot, or 6-7 spot rather.
Especially considering both of them, depending on how that day 1 matchup goes, if you give them both a loss or if someone wins an unexpected set there from the Knights or from Kanga, that one will absolutely be a fight, either for a tie or for the control of that area, and then you'll have to start kind of making them up from behind.
Question, looking at the standings, what number just doesn't quite do that team justice, in your opinion?
Knights right now.
Yeah.
7 doesn't make sense for them. They are playing way better than the 7 team.
They're the Virtus Pro of this split.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Virtus Pro have picked up for themselves and gotten into, like, that area where they belong. I still argue maybe they deserve that second place spot, but they got to keep fighting for that one. But when you look at it, like, Knights are playing above and beyond the Renegades.
Yep.
I feel like they're above and beyond Kanga. Next week will absolutely determine that. So we'll get to see next week, I think, the solidifying nature of where they should stand.
Definitely a big week to look forward to. A fun week of PPL. We had 5 sets, 4 of them 4-0s, 1 of them 4-1. It was quick, but on behalf of myself, Gore Miser, everyone in production, and your number 3 ranked Georgia Bulldogs taking on the number 7 ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish Saturday night. We'll see you later, and see you on Monday.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Live from Atlanta, the players are here, the stage is set. Let's get down for esports!
This is where we also talk about the new stuff that we've got coming out for you all.
Look, HRX is literally my favorite time of year. It truly isn't close. This is what I live for.
If that's second place, I can't wait to see what first place is.
It is HRX.